During the 16 Days of Action 2022 campaign,
Goes Girls on Fire and Tech Shack Tactical TV interview ordinary but outstanding women.
Hashtag I am every woman.
In our interviews, we honor outstanding businesswomen who have made a difference in their specific sphere of society to ladies who have overcome horrific gender-based violence incidences.
We believe in action, not activism.
Why are women continually cast as helpless victims?
Bystanders to their own fate, presuming that victimhood is a fait accompli. We are not simply deer in the headlights of gender-based violence.
We can and will stand up for ourselves.
We are not second-class citizens who need special days and men standing up for us.
We say no more.
Activism does not change the minds of predators.
Predators will always be predators, waiting in the dark to claim their victims. Standing on street corners with placards saying that we are against gender-based violence has and never alone make a difference. Take action now, not to be a victim, and be a strong woman. Do not put your trust in anybody else except yourself. Take the example from the strong women in these interviews and be a warrior. Hashtag victim no longer.
Lynette Oxley here for Tech Shack Tactical TV and Ghost of Girls on Fire, and our 16 Days of Action for No Violence Against Women and Children. I'm here with Keshna. Welcome, Keshna.
Thank you.
Not good circumstances. Keshna, I contacted Keshna because of her TikTok video where she talked about an attack that took place. So that's basically why we're talking to you. Tell me first, who's Keshna?
Well, Keshna is me. I'm a person who tries to do what's right for others. I had a dream of starting a business. We started it 2 years ago, and recently I resigned so that I could focus on doing that. But Keshna mainly just really loved Chad. He was basically my whole life. He had any idea I would come up with, he would basically come and just join in, and with the crazy projects. We love animals. Majority of our animals are rescues, and then we strongly believed in recycling, trying to preserve ourselves with food, any natural way that we could do things. We try to do that. We were quite creative in regards to both of us having similar. If we see a problem, we first think of an idea how to fix the problem instead of looking at it as a problem. So that's mainly me. Chad was very similar, except a lot softer than me in regards to he had a very good personality, sweet, gentle, funny, very funny. And yeah, that's Keshna's world.
What happened on the 13th of October? Can you tell us the story?
We had just finished varnishing our last layer on our bedroom floor. Our bedroom was in the living room. We were sleeping there throughout winter because of the fireplace, and before we moved our bedroom back, we decided to sand down our floors, and that night we finished the last layer. We had our cup of coffee, and we usually would sit in the evenings and play games, and that's what we did. We sat down and we played games. Our back door was open because we've got our 2 vicious pit bulls in our premises, so you feel safe. You live under that aspect that you lock your main gate, your barbed wires on, your walls are secured, you feel that it's safe. So you think with your 2 dogs, it's fine to leave the gate open for them. And it was early in the evening. I mean, it was around about 6:30ish that we sat down and we started playing our game. About 1:45, I heard a sound, and I thought that's a very odd sound, and I looked up and I was thinking, that sounds like feet. I turned to look at Chad and I said to him, just as I was about to say baby, I saw our first attacker come in and I yelled baby. And I still remember, I just jumped up. Chad had he had a board on his seat and he threw it off and immediately climbed in between me and the attackers, and I ran towards them. The first attacker tackled Chad, and the second attacker, I noticed he had a knife in his hand. So I raised my hands and I said, take what you want, just leave us alone. And I was screaming at this point because I refused to not scream. I kept screaming, and the couch and the bed was in the way. So the couch was between me and my attacker, and Chad was in between the couch and the bed, because of course we had our bedroom in our living room at this point, and I couldn't get access anywhere to do something functional. So I ran from the couch onto the bed, and I kept yelling in the process, and I looked down and I saw Chad struggling with his attacker with a knife, and I also saw the blood, and that's just when everything went red. I don't know when I got injured, but I still remember the guy, my attacker, turning to look for backup, and backup didn't respond, and I climbed onto the couch because it's the only functional way of getting to Chad to help him, and I just started punching him over and over and over. I had 6 wounds. I've got a slice on the arm here, a small stab wound here, on my head, in my back, on both my legs, and I never even felt the knife go in, because I just wanted them off of Chad. I just wanted to save him and help him. And at some point, the attackers just took off. They just ran, and Chad got up, and I still remembered that I tried to help him. I held his neck and I looked at it, and the wound was so severe. I had 2 choices. I could either stay with him and lose him, or I can go outside and continue screaming and helping or asking for help. I don't remember when I took the keys, but I had the keys, and I still remember running out, and the last thing I heard was, as I was calling for help, was our last attacker jumping over the barbed wire, because it makes quite a distinctive noise. And my neighbor behind us was the first to respond. He saw one of the attackers run down the road, and his wife had told him to come back to me, so he ran back to me. He was the first one to respond, and we're very fortunate to have Ryan across the road. He helps with scenes like this, so he helps with the paramedic side of things like this. So Ryan was the second one to respond, and he came in, and I just remember when I opened the gate, the first thing that I said to both of them is, please help Chad, he's in the bathroom, he's dying, help him. And after that, it's a lot of people in and out. I remember phoning my mom, and I still told her I think I was stabbed because my back feels wet, and I could see these wounds, but I didn't realize that I was stabbed in the head or on the legs either. My neighbor had phoned Chad's brother, David, and the moment I phoned David, he was crying on the phone, and he's like, he's on the way. She had phoned him to come and assist. And it was chaos. It was chaos. I remember seeing Athena run, but Sparta was nowhere to be found, but he definitely helped us, because I believe he went for the third attacker, because he's got cuts on his head. So you think you're safe with your dangerous pit bulls, but the one ran away and the other one had tried to help us as far as possible. They were sitting in the living room as they usually do. We have their couches and their spaces, so they were in the room when this all occurred and happened. And I don't remember seeing Sparta, but I remember seeing Athena bolt. And Sparta had gone after the other one, and I think that it is because of him and the fact that we fought, that we were at least not outnumbered. But I mean, I still recognize the knives. They were our kitchen knives. I'd cleaned the knives, I think, that morning or the day before, and I'd put them in our cleaning rack, and I still remember looking at the knife thinking, but that's my red knife, my kitchen knife. And I don't remember. After we got to the hospital, I asked the paramedics if I could go with him, and they allowed it, and they let me stay with Chad. But unfortunately, his body gave in. The wounds were too severe. He couldn't make it any further. There wasn't blood left. And I still remember coming in and out of the house thinking, there's nothing I could do at this point with being as a flight attendant. You do learn first aid, but not to a point where you can handle something like this. And that is why I let someone else take over, because I was probably going to mess up more than help Chad at this point. And the moment the paramedics arrived as well, I still remember walking into the bathroom to check up on Chad, and they helped him out of the bath, and I saw the wound, and it was horrid. And one of the paramedics told me to please leave the room, and I complied, because it doesn't help you try and get emotional, and you just become a hindrance to what they're trying to help and accomplish and try and save someone's life. So it wasn't great. I stayed with him until they came and took his body away. I mean, I was praying the whole time thinking, like, he'll survive, he's strong, he knows I'm here, he'll be okay, he knows that I'm here. But in the whole time I was thinking, like, if he doesn't make it, what do I do then? How do you function? How do you cope? And is he going to be sad that I didn't help him faster or didn't react faster? And you keep going through these emotions of, what if you did this? And that you shouldn't do that, but it does affect you. And also remember looking at his shirt and how covered it was with blood when we were at the hospital. I still remember holding his hand and talking to him, just sitting there. I didn't want them to help me until they took care of Chad. I mean, he was more severe. I remember walking down the hospital corridor after they took Chad into the room to help him, that there were people that were standing there. There was a gentleman with his daughter, and he kept turning his daughter's head away from me. And I don't know what I looked like, but I can't imagine that it was a very good sight, because the dad kept turning his daughter, and then another guy got angry with the nurses because they didn't want to help me yet. And all I was thinking is, I don't care, I want them to help Chad first. I want them to take care of him first. And eventually a nurse came, called me back, and she started cleaning me off. I'm grateful my mom and my sister didn't see how bad I looked at that point, because from what I understand there was a lot of blood on me. I don't know why this happens. We have nothing of, like I said, extraordinary value. Our house has so many problems we still needed to fix, and majority of the stuff is low cost or second hand in our house. We had nothing really of any value, and they didn't demand anything, they didn't ask for anything, they didn't. Why?
How old was Chad?
29. December he's turning 30.
You're right. Did they speak to you at all during this time?
The one asked me to keep quiet, but the other one was already on top of Chad, and I assume at this point he was already injured.
So it was quick. It was so quick, because they didn't just threaten you; they just attacked him straight away. Am I correct? Immediately tackled him to the ground. I didn't even see the knife until I was on the bed, and that's when I saw the knife with Chad. I didn't see I saw the knife with my attacker, but it happened so quickly that I didn't even notice the knife that was in Chad's attacker's hands until I climbed onto the bed and saw the gaping wound and that they were struggling over the knife. But he was brave, didn't even hesitate, just jumped in front of us. So Keshna, you became quite famous through your TikTok video? Why did you make it?
So I actually thought, just in regards to the TikTok video, I would only reach max maybe 10,000 people. I didn't realize that it would flame up the way it did. I made the TikTok video because 24 days after this happened to us, no one reported about it except for our local groups. Not a single newspaper responded to what had happened. And for me, the question is when we have 71 murders a day, why are we not hearing about the rest of them? Why are we not seeing the people, the faces, the lives that those people lived? And why do we have to contact newspapers to have our stories read, or have to go to these extremes to have stories being published? And for me, it made me feel how many others are being murdered and how many other families are being affected, and there's no help for them. So I made it to, if people don't have a voice, I'll help them be that voice, but we need to know the other 71 families that have been affected. We need to know that 3 people die per hour, and where are you hearing about them? Regardless if it's a person that lives on the side of the road or in a mansion, if they pass away, we should know about it. Especially if it's a murder, we should be aware of what's going on, and our communities need to start assisting with our police, to start putting pressure under the government to help them with the resources they need. I mean, it's difficult when your police officer here arrives in his private vehicle. The forensic personnel arrives with a vehicle, but the vehicle is so bashed up and old and used that you wonder, like, where are the funds going to them? Why are they not getting the proper training and support that they need from a local department and from a governmental department? And that's the issues here, is you feel like this is a hand-in-hand situation. If your communities start standing strong with our police officers, there are many that are still good in the force there.
Some good polices.
And they need the voice of someone to say that they need help. Yes, and we should not live the way we're living. Why are we supposed to barbed wire our house? Why are we supposed to lock our doors? Why are we supposed to put security measures in place that don't, if they want in, they want in, they'll get in. So it's regardless of your financial situation, from where you live, if they want in, they will get in. And we shouldn't have to live like that. We're not hearing about the 120 females a day being raped. We are not hearing about the 71 murders. I think 3 of them, that includes children. I mean, that's not okay.
It's not okay.
And that's why I made the TikTok video. I was hoping to have people realize what is going on. We've turned a blind eye to what is happening around them, around us, and we are not facing the reality that at some point it's going to break. We need to start, as communities, start talking about it. I mean, there are programs out there, but where's the awareness made? It gets posted on groups. There are not enough, advertising to say that we are doing this for the following victims that have fallen. I mean, I found out only afterwards that there was a memorial service or a remembering service held for Chad and other victims of it. But I mean, that happened on a Sunday and I wasn't aware of it until it was too late. So that's why I made it, because I think it's time that we all realize in South Africa we need to start working together. 90% of us don't want this crime rates that we're seeing, and the lack of action being taken towards the crime, and the amount of criminals being set free yearly. 90,000 of them. I don't know if you've seen Ian Cameron. He does a lot that he helps families in these situations, and I mean, he puts it in a very good perspective. At what point does the community help our police officers by putting pressure under the government? Why has Cyril Ramaphosa not made any action towards putting help towards the communities that need it? there aren't enough police vehicles to go past. Then we've got Becky Sele who sits there saying that criminals need to feel us, they need to see us, they need to smell us, but yet he arrives with a convoy of how many people, and the normal South Africans sit with problems left, right and centre. Just down the road, I actually started telling ladies to not walk this road alone, to use a safer route, because they're robbing them just down the road, especially single women. They rob them, and it's a problem because if I don't say something, who else is going to help them? And I mean, I've seen our security companies doing the same thing, but they can't sit here the whole day and try and warn people, don't use this road because it's dangerous. But why is the road dangerous? Why is there nothing being done to help prevent this from happening?
Let's talk about the police. How long after it happened did they actually come, and how effective have they been?
So I don't want to say that the police aren't able or can't do their jobs, because that's not the reality. It's what resources do they have.
Yeah.
And I think it's easy for us to blame the police for the lack of response, but like I said, there's good people still in the force. And on top of that, if they don't have the right resources, they can't make a difference. On that night, we had police officers respond very fast. They were here before the paramedics. I remember them asking questions, but then you hear the nightmarish stories of people saying it took them a half an hour just to decide what are they going to call this. Is it a attempted murder, attempted break-in? What is it? So how can we not have that capability of saying this is what it is, regardless of what we call it now? We need to start getting evidence. They fingerprinted our door. It was dark that night, but they fingerprinted our door after our whole neighborhood knew our back door wasn't locked. How did they not know it? Didn't they ask questions to anyone else? I still remember sitting down with the one police officer and telling him they fingerprinted the door, the most least likely place for fingerprints to be taken from, because the door was open. And I still remember my mom came back, she cleaned the house, she cleaned the blood and everything. She wanted to do it. She said it was an honor for her to not have someone else do it, because firstly our spaces they're not violated again. On top of it, she didn't want someone just to take Chad's blood and dump it like it meant nothing. A family member found the knife 4 days after the incident happened. My mom waited for about 2 hours before they came to collect the knife. They wanted to pick up the knife, the evidence, without gloves, and they had no bags with them, they had no gloves with them. They were planning to just drop it in the boot. That is vital evidence. There is a highly likely chance that in the process of Chad and the criminal fighting over the knife, that the criminal also got hurt and injured. And the moment you hear this, you get frustrated, you get angry, because surely this is not how you are taught. This is not how your training goes. If this is the case, then there should be retraining put into place. I mean, as a flight attendant, we have to go yearly and redo training. I don't understand I don't know, I'm not in the police force, so I can't say, but I do feel like they need 6 months to a year's re-roll of training, the recurrency of it. I mean, if a flight attendant has to do it, I'm sure the police have to have those training sessions to put in. Criminals, they're always busy learning new tactics, and there's always new technology coming out. So I do feel it's important that our police have recurrency training. I mean, you can't come and tell me that evidence is gone within 4 days because it was in the sun.
I can get it years later.
Well, that was my point.
Yeah.
That was what I said. I mean, it's been a mission, because when I had to come home, I had to play detective alongside my family, and we had to look for entry and exit points. The entry and exit points I pointed out to my family, because one of the greenhouse points was where they try to get in had come off. So we had a closer look, and that's where I saw handprints and fingerprints. And I went to the brigadier and I asked her, or told her, that we need to get forensics back out, that this is not acceptable, the way it's been handled, especially with the murder weapon.
What did you say to you?
I was told I was emotional, but emotional doesn't make you illogical. And for anyone sitting in this position, they should not stop asking questions. They should not stop putting,
some resources.
Yes.
At least trying.
I follow up this, and I'm still okay. Is the evidence back yet? Is this? It's they get overwhelmed. They have 300 open dockets on their place, and majority of them are severe cases. So if I don't follow up, who's going to follow up? Should I wait for, maybe be lucky in 10 years we have the criminal behind bars? No. So I'm going to follow up until justice is served for Chad, and I feel like people should continue with that. Even cold cases, people should phone and find out, how far is my case? You hear these scary stories of dockets going missing. I'm afraid my docket goes missing, because that means everything that was Chad's evidence will be gone if that docket goes missing, and I don't want that. I don't want to lose any slight hope that we might get the person who did this to him. And there will never be justice for Chad. His life was taken, but hopefully with the criminal behind bars, I can help spare another life, because that's all I want. I don't want them to
do it to somebody else. That's just the way it is.
It escalates. It starts with small crimes, and it moves up to severe and bad crimes. So if the small crimes aren't...
Well, this is not a small crime.
No, but they probably started off with something like simple theft. And it escalated and escalated, because nothing of this makes sense. They came in, took our own knives, meaning you came unarmed in here.
So, any of them identified at all? Nothing?
No.
Okay. So, Keshna, do you think if you and your dogs didn't fight back, do you think you'd be here to tell your story?
No, I don't think so. They didn't hesitate to start stabbing immediately. They didn't. And I think if it wasn't for Sparta, we would be...
And there's a Sparta down here. I don't know if we'll...
Come.
Show us your face.
Come here. There we go.
That's Botha.
I think
he was stabbed on the head.
I think if it wasn't for the fact that we fought, that we reacted the way we did, that we wouldn't be here. Well, I wouldn't. Even with him, he was injured on his head, and it just, a lot of times it doesn't make sense. Why did they pick us? Why our house? Why our circumstances? And why not handle the situation calmly? They could have taken anything they wanted, as long as they spared us. A life isn't worth nothing, because they left with nothing. They didn't get an opportunity to take anything, and that's what makes it even more frustrating, is there's no answers to this burning questions. Why pick us? Was it an opportunist thing? Were the people involved with drugs that attacked us because they were looking for an easy sell? Were they trying to get rid of us quickly so that they can continue then and empty out the house? Nothing makes sense. At some points you start blaming even yourself. Is it the shop that we put up here? Is that why we were targets? But then again, the shop was open. If they just opened the garage, they had access to everything there. And
you think they might have thought that you got money from the store or from the shop?
We don't know.
They don't know.
Yeah,
these unanswered questions.
They didn't demand for anything. They didn't take it easy. Chad immediately stood up, but they didn't show the knives and say, or threaten us and say, sit down, like nothing. There was no, they just said, keep quiet when I started screaming. And for me,
it's the only words.
Yeah. That and the turning to the backup person that never responded. but even with what he said with the person behind him, I couldn't hear it. It wasn't a language I understood, but it was local. It didn't sound foreign. It sounded local. And I've been on the airlines long enough to realize different accents from different countries. So for me, I remember the perfect English that he spoke to me, a South African English that he spoke to me to say I need to stop screaming or keep quiet. It was something in that line, and it's two options. You either keep quiet or you fight back, but we weren't going to fight. We weren't going to not fight. We were going to protect each other like we always said we would. But they didn't ask for anything, and that's what a lot of times doesn't make sense to me, is why not just demand something? Like, you don't have to injure people, you don't have to commit murder in order to get what you want. And I mean, it doesn't make sense.
If you've got a message out there for other women, what would it be for during this 16 days of action?
It would be not to keep quiet. If anything has happened to you, speak up. If you can't, I will help you, but we need to start letting people know in our country how severe this is. Crimes shouldn't go uncharged with. We have to take action. It's hard to be brave and it's hard to put your face to something, but you don't have to. We can help you. I don't want to see people not having justice for their situations. I mean, rape victims not being able to speak out because they're scared. Their faces need to be put into place, and that's not necessary. And there are so many people that will help the moment they find out of your situation. I mean, I'll be honest, I've been extremely blessed, but other people tell me they don't get any assistance, they don't get help, the government's not there to provide them services, and either it's too full or overpacked, and there are so many people who open up their private houses to accommodate and help victims of crimes. And for me, that's important, that there needs to be a link that people know, okay, if this happened to someone, we can help per the following. I mean, a simple thing of someone bringing me food has been absolutely amazing, because when this happens, you don't want to eat, you don't want to have that effort done. Half the time you just want to lay down and process. If it's even processing, you don't process it, you block portions out, and it doesn't have to be like that. There are so many other people that sit in this similar and same position, that they are willing to help you through it. And that's what's important. We need to know that there are support systems.
You're not alone.
We're not alone. I mean, you hear about people like the lady last night helping me. She just chatted to me and explained this is a similar thing happened to her and her husband. Her husband was shot 5 times. He passed away 45 minutes after this happened, and she didn't have much support, you know, and that's heartbreaking to see that she had to cope with raising her 2 children through this process, and she didn't even go back home. She said she couldn't face it. I want to face my house, because yes, one bad thing happened here, but there are many good memories here, many projects we did, and many laughs and cries, and just there are many good ones. Even if there are one really, really bad memory, it doesn't take away the good that's happened in our house and the beautiful memories that we've managed to build here. I mean, we never wanted kids, but we have our 4-legged pets that are our fur babies, and that's what was important to us. We were hoping to continue raising. I wanted a duck. Chad would not let me get a duck. But I mean, it's stuff like that you'll remember, the conversations about, can I get a duck? And you know, it's, our dogs are like kids to us. They own the house, they have their own bed, human bed in the pantry area, but they also have their own couches. And it's funny because you have guests coming over and then the dog would sit and stare at you. You're on my couch.
Absolutely.
And I mean, that's what's important, but there are other people going through this. They're not alone. And where I can help, I'll try and help, but we need answers for unsolved cases. And I want other people in this situation to know that a phone call helps. So they are more than welcome to contact me, and they are more than welcome to ask for assistance, because where I can, I will help, and I will try as far as possible to put pressure on the police to have cases solved. We cannot live this way while criminals run free.
Absolutely. You're a very, very brave person for everything that you've done. I wish you healing, because it's going to be with you for a long time. Can I give you a hug? Thank you very much for talking to me, and all of the beautiful puppies.
The only reason I feel I'm brave is because everything that was my life, that was important, was stolen from me. And it's hard for people to...
It was ripped from you.
Yeah, it was taken away in the most brutal manner. And for me, having lost Chad, I've always wanted to speak out and help, but I was scared Chad might get into the crossfire. He's no longer there. I have value for my own life, but that fear that was there before isn't there. I have nothing to fear. I've been through the worst that there possibly could have been. And if I don't speak up,
Who will?
who will?
Thank you very much. I know it was difficult.
I'm a girl on fire, I'm not a victim, a girl on fire, I'll stand my ground, girl on fire, I've made a choice, I stand proud. I'm a girl on fire, I'm a mother, a daughter, a sister, a friend, I'm every woman. I have taken up arms and I choose to defend all that I hold dear. Independent and strong, you will not keep me down, you can't break me. I'm a girl on fire, I'm not a victim, a girl on fire, I'll stand my ground, girl on fire, I've made a choice, I stand proud. Countless hours on the range, I am responsibly armed, I am your equal. I've empowered myself, I have practiced and trained, fear won't control me. With my sisters in arms, we will make ourselves heard, we'll stand together. I'm a girl on fire, I'm not a victim, a girl on fire, I'll stand my ground, girl on fire, I've made a choice, I stand